Okay, hi friends. So I just wanted to make a video talking about the different types of jobs you can have as a high school student and what may be most, I guess, worthwhile to different individuals, and depending on what you like and what you like to do and stuff like that. So I will be including personal anecdotes because I had a lot of jobs in high school. So yeah, and in general, there's a few categories. So one of the categories is like supermarkets, which I actually don't have any experience in, but I'll try to talk about it. Clothing stores, different things like teaching children or dealing with children in general as one of its own category. There's also working for yourself. There is working in the food industry of any sort, and there's one I'm forgetting, so I'm going to go on my phone. Seasonal jobs, that's the one I tend to forget. So there's also ones that either you only work over the summer or you only work over winter break or something like that. So I'll talk about those too. So yeah, hopefully I can help you find something that you'd like. Okay, so the first one I wanted to talk about is supermarkets. This is the one that I have no experience in, so this can be very short. To me, I never wanted to work in a supermarket because one, it's mostly adults who work there. So it's not like there'd be a lot of other high school students there with me that I could like relate to. It also just seems like a very boring, very busy job. You see a ton of people constantly. In general, like there's a lot of supermarkets I don't like again, when I talk about supermarkets, I'm talking about like Target, Safeway, Walmart, like things like that. So like very, very big stores. Yeah, it just never like rubbed me as something I wanted to do. However, if that's something that sounds interesting to you, like a big working environment, there's a lot of employees, things like that, you don't really want to get personal with anybody, that would be probably good. You do get experience with customer service a lot in grocery stores and like supermarkets and stuff. So yeah, that would be the solution to that. So the next one I wanted to talk about was working with kids in any manner. I myself, I was a tutor, but we'll talk about that one later. I was also a swim instructor. Some people love this job, like they absolutely adore it. They love working with kids, they love being babysitters or nannies or swim instructors or whatever it is. You need to really like kids though. Like you need to really like kids because they can get very frustrating and they're also very tiring jobs. Like when I was a swim instructor, my longest shift was I think 3 or 3.5 hours, and I've worked up to 8-hour shifts before, and this was by far the most tiring thing I ever had to do because you constantly have to pay attention to these children, and children are just draining because they have so much energy, and for what? And they don't want to listen. So you have to be very patient. You have to actually enjoy being with kids, I feel like, to do something like this. Obviously, if that's your thing, then go ahead if you like being around children like that. Also, these positions tend to pay more. I wasn't paid anything at American Swim Academy in the Tri-Valley, so don't go work there. But like I know babysitters can make a lot. I know there's often lifeguard certified swim instructors will make like a minimum of $15 an hour. So these jobs also pay well, but they're also very tiring. You also have to be very attentive to the children. So keep that all in mind if this is the type of job you want. So next one I wanted to talk about was working for yourself. This one can overlap with the children's one often if you're a babysitter. I tutored. I actually tutor now too, but this one is interesting. It's definitely the most laid back one because you don't work long hours, and most of the time nobody is asking for less than $20 an hour to tutor or babysit. And it's not like you're getting Social Security pulled out of your checks either because you're getting paid in cash, and at a high school level you're probably not making enough that you have to pay taxes anyway, so that's nothing to worry about. You get the full $20 an hour. So if you think about it, it's like a lot less work for a lot more reward, but these are the type of jobs that you do have to stay attentive the whole time. And obviously if you're a babysitter, it's a whole lot more work, but this is easy because you choose your work hours. You don't really get tired after it, and you're chilling. You make a lot of money. You don't work that much though. That's like usually the bargain, unless you are a full-time like babysitter or nanny. I have a friend who basically full-time babysits now. Unless you're doing that, you're not going to make a ton. Like most high school babysitting jobs, oh, parents are going out on date night on Friday, they are asking for a 3-hour babysitter, something like that, you know what I mean? But that makes it really flexible and lets it be so that if you don't really want to work like that, but you do want some money coming into your bank account, like this job is kind of perfect for you. Is just work for yourself, put up ads for tutoring or babysitting. I use the Nextdoor app now, and that's where I put my stuff. So that would probably be the best solution that I would recommend. Yep. Okay, so the next one I wanted to talk about, which I feel like is a very broad one and a very easy one actually, is working at clothing stores. Like, I worked at Hollister, but another example would be like Brandy Melville. Don't work at Brandy Melville. American Eagle. We have like Garage in the mall, Forever 21 if they're still going to be in business. But these kind of stores, actually the work is fairly easy, especially ones that aren't usually that busy. Like Hollister wasn't that busy aside from around back to school time, and like in certain times of the day, usually the store was empty. Usually it was just a bunch of folding and refolding clothes and restocking and helping customers out if they're in there, and that's it. The shop gets very boring very quick. Like I would work like 4 to 5 hour shifts. They would be very easy, not that tiring, but they would feel so long. It felt like I was not going to be at work forever because nothing was happening like most of the time, because you will work like midday shifts and stuff like that. Most of the time these were boring, especially now, like with all this quarantine stuff. It's probably less likely that people will be in store anyway, so it's going to be even more boring. So keep that in mind. I think I was paid maybe $12.50 or $13 an hour to work at Hollister. I don't remember, but it wasn't great. It was like, okay, I only took it because that was literally the first people that responded to me. That's the only reason I accepted the job offer, otherwise I wouldn't have. So yeah, keep that all in mind if you want to work at a clothing retail store. So the next one I wanted to talk about was actually, wow, I love how I blinked as soon as I looked at it. It's seasonal jobs. Okay, so we have a local county fair that I worked at. It was my first job actually. It was after my sophomore year and then after my junior year again. These jobs are interesting because they're a lot of fun. It's really, really tiring and usually longer shifts, like minimum 5-hour shifts is I think usually what I worked, maybe a couple 4 hours. But they do get very tiring, at least in my town. Around the time of the county fair, it gets really, really hot, like high 80s, 90s. Throughout those full like 3 or 4 weeks that the fair is here, and you're working basically in the sun and you get hot. There's multiple things to do at things like county fairs. Like you can work for the fair itself, you can work for booths that like serve food or things like that. That's what I did. You can run rides, but usually that doesn't go to teenagers from what I understand, because that requires you to be, I guess, more mature. But this is always a fun job, and it's a very like, to me, it's a very high schooly job. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I worked at the county fair when I was in high school and I served food to people. Like, this is very fun. It's seasonal, so you only work for 4 weeks, and usually you get a pretty fat paycheck at the end of it because you work a lot. Like, at least I know my second year working at the fair, I think I worked, the fair was closed 2 days out of the week, so out of the 5 days, I think I worked 4 or 5 days. So yeah, we work almost every day, and it's a lot of fun. It just gets really hot. You're always on your feet. I feel like the rudest customers come from situations like this, because a county fair means everybody in the county. So you see a bunch of different type of people, and you get a bunch of people complaining about how much it costs to be at a fair to you, a teenager who in no way, shape, or form controls how much it costs to be at a fair, but they still get all angry about it. So you do have to deal with customers a whole lot more, but it's a fun job. It's short. I love how it's seasonal, and I only talked about the fair. There's also like holiday jobs, like a lot of department stores will be hiring during the holidays, which usually go from around Thanksgiving week to after New Year's. Also, a lot of those require that you're there on Black Friday, so keep that in mind. But yeah, in general, those are seasonal jobs, so you only work for a little bit and then you're done and you're free and you made your bit of money, and you make often a lot because seasonal jobs require, I feel like, higher hours. So yeah, that was kind of long, but yeah. Okay, so the last one I wanted to talk about was working in food. It's kind of overlaps with one of my other ones, the fair. I actually worked at it was like a Mexican food stall, and so I served, and that was it. I didn't cook the food. But I also worked at Cold Stone, so I was never like a waitress or anything in high school. I just didn't know very many people my age who were waitresses. I feel like to be a waitress, often the minimum age is 18, but I did know some people who were hosts and things like that, and being a host, from what I understand, isn't that difficult, and it pays really highly, but I couldn't really speak on that. So I also worked at Cold Stone. Particularly my Cold Stone happened to be very irritating, because those are easily like the worst managers I've ever had, but in general, it's a fun job to do, right? Like, what's not fun about Cold Stone? You like bring up the ice cream, you mix ice creams and you give it to people. Like, super exciting, yay. The only thing there with food that really bothers me, this used to bother me about the fair too, is you come back and you just have a smell. And you like have to shower right away. You're usually really tired, so you go to sleep too, but you just like have to shower. You know what I mean? Like, after I worked at Hollister, like I could have like lived my life right after. Like, I could go somewhere right after. I literally cannot go somewhere right after Cold Stone. Like, I can't. Like, it was just not it, in my opinion. Overall, it wasn't it. But some people are really into that. Like, I had a friend who worked at Cinnabon as well. So if that's what you are into, that would be my suggestion. Okay, so I think that ended up being around 6 categories of jobs you can do in high school, and what those really entail. I will say that you should definitely get a job in high school. I feel like it's really rewarding, just because you get to work and you start off really early understanding, I guess, the value of work and the value of money, because money seems different when you're making, like, I think the lowest salary I ever had was $10.50, and like it just makes $10 seem like so much money. You know what I mean? Like, you worked a whole hour and all you made was $10. So I think it teaches you value for money too. Obviously, if you need money for whatever reason that may be, like for college or whatever situation is going on, you need a car or something like that, obviously these are great options too. In those situations, I would look for higher paying jobs, such as being a lifeguard or being a tutor or something like that, or multiple jobs. So yeah, but I do think working in general is really rewarding, and that every high school student should do it at least once in their 4 years. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful.